In this video, we're going to look at changes to the party system in Canada. And a good place to start is in the 1980s, where Pierre Trudeau had been the Prime Minister, and there had been some turbulent years. The October crisis in the 70s, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in the early 80s in 1982, and then a Quebec referendum on secession. A lot of people throughout Canada were not happy about Trudeau's handling of his time in office during this period. And as a result, Brian Mulroney and the Progressive Conservative Party won huge elections in 1984 and 1988. And this was largely based on Mulroney's promise to fix things with Quebec. He was going to be the champion that helped ease the tensions with Quebec and make them feel like part of Canada again. However, over those two terms in government, the 84 majority government, the 1988 majority government, people within the PC party were feeling restless, and they started to fracture and split. A few members from the Progressive Conservative Party left and decided to sit in Parliament as their own bloc, the Bloc Québécois. They were upset that the PCs were not doing enough to help Quebec. And so they started their own party, which became a single-issue party, the Bloc Québécois. Conversely, the other side of the country, a bunch of Western Canada members of Parliament decided to sit as their own bloc, and they later became the Reform Party. Their view was that the Progressive Conservatives were not conservative enough, and they were going too far to try and help Quebec, that they should ignore Quebec. And so this was a splinter group that was a much more ideological party. So we had one party, the Progressive Conservatives, split into essentially three different ones. There was still the core of the Progressive Conservative Party, a Bloc Québécois, and a Reform Party that had split off from them. Brian Mulroney, realizing that he was so unpopular, probably wouldn't win the next election, resigned as Prime Minister. So somebody in the party would have to step forward and become the Prime Minister, and that happened to be Kim Campbell. She was the Prime Minister and was very popular. Looked like she was going to win re-election. Things just fell off the rails, though, during the 1993 election campaign. And as a result, the Conservatives, the Progressive Conservative Party, lost massively. They went from having 156 seats down to 2. Historic electoral defeat. And this election was noteworthy because it produced 2 new parties in Parliament. So for many decades of Canada being a pretty stable 2-party system, with the NDP there, sort of a 2-party plus system, now it was a full-on multi-party system. A party that didn't exist before. The Bloc Québécois became the official opposition. The second biggest party, the Reform Party, elected a member of Parliament named Steve Harper from Calgary, who went on to later become Prime Minister. The Prime Minister here, though, massive Liberal majority government, was Jean Chrétien. Now, again in 1997, the Liberals got re-elected. So this was a second consecutive majority government for Jean Chrétien and the Liberal Party. Why? Well, partly because there were so many conservative options on the right that the vote was getting split up, and the Liberals were capitalizing on that. This prompted a desire from those right-leaning parties, the Progressive Conservatives, some of the Bloc members in Quebec, and the Reform Party members, that maybe they should try and reunite into a party that would be a more viable opposition to the Liberals, having won 2 large majority governments in a row.